Welcome, everybody. It's me, King Polly, and I am joined today by a woman who truly has been an inspiration to me for 7 years now. Like to sit here and talk to you face to face as your journey, just through my lens has mirrored mine, and to be able to have seen you grow and evolve in the public eye and as a teacher and as a woman, and from maiden to mother, it's just it's just such a blessing. I'm so grateful. She's an author, a writer, a teacher, Sarah Durham, and a mom, most importantly a mother.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Polly. I've always loved your spirit, and I saw, when you wrote the email, and my sweet assistant was just like, "Yeah, write me," and I was like, "That's Polly. We love Polly. Like, tell her yes." So it's like, yeah. So don't just do the normal thing with Polly.
I felt it, and I didn't take it anyway, and I felt it with your response. It was just so loving and wonderful.
It's special when someone walks this long with me, because the work, a lot of people kind of take what they need and keep going, and that's fine, and I understand that, and I evolve in different ways, so it's really special if a woman evolves with you, so yeah.
How has that been? Because when you started sort of in the public sphere and writing as Do It Girl,
yeah,
you were still in Maiden, and I think a lot of people maybe don't even know what that means.
Well, how would you explain it?
So from you, I've learned the immature sort of feminine, where we're still in our bud and we haven't yet bloomed, and still sort of seeking outside of ourselves.
Yeah, and feminine immaturity looks a lot like the toxic traits of like fragility and vanity and drama over dharma, and the sort of reactive nature, right? And it wasn't getting us anywhere, certainly not in our personal lives or in our collective lives as women, right? So there had to be another way. And it was kind of the opposite of where we were. Was the next step was, instead of fragility, resiliency; instead of drama, dharma; and instead of a reactivity, a responsiveness, right? And it works.
100. One of my favorite quotes from you, I wrote it down. In Maiden, I waited for the good to come. In Mother, I am the good that comes.
It's true.
And that encapsulates it so much, because there is this element of, I was always waiting. I was waiting for someone to save me.
Yeah.
That age old adage of it's in you.
Right. It's true. It's true. And so what you're mentioning, because you've known me this long, or known the work, is like, so my maiden work is in public, my wounded maiden work, so it's funny because people, I was interviewed by Tammy Simon the other day of Sounds True. And I was telling her, you're my first and only rejection letter, because I wasn't going to write for anyone but Marion and Clarissa's house, right? I wasn't going to veer from, if there was a Clarissa Pinkola Estes and Marion Woodman Publishing House, why would I go anywhere else, right? So I was telling her, I got this rejection letter, and I was like, well, she has not, Tammy Simon hasn't heard the last of me, but she's asking me online, she's on the interview before the interview. So what was that work? And I was like, it's something called the Do It Girl Diaries. And I'm really glad that I didn't publish that, because I self-published it. But like, it probably actually would serve like a big part of the collective, to be honest, if it did come out. But it is like having your teenage diaries on display before you've been initiated is sort of like, you're still so part of the culture, and now the culture makes me so sick. So I'm looking at somebody still very much in it, wanting the male gaze and wanting to be popular. And I'm just like, oh, honey.
Totally. Like, and to do it in public, it's just another level, right? Because our work is where we were at that point, and that is beautiful, and that is enough. And that cringe factor that we kind of get from maybe some places that we've been that's part of the work too, is just like, no, baby, like,
Yeah,
hey, it got you here.
it got you here.
Oh,
Yeah.
how, when you, so you were do it girl, and then you kind of evolved into the mother spirit.
Mhm.
How was that shifting publicly? Like, how did you know it was time?
Mm. That's a really good question that nobody's ever asked me before. And it's only a question you'd ask if you were paying attention. So again, I really appreciate it. Because a lot of people are sort of like coming in right now. And it's just the tip of the whole, you know what I mean? So the mother spirit was, you know, it was a big kind of piece. It's like when a woman goes through a rebirth, you know, through a rebirth ceremony and she changes her name, you know. And so I couldn't wear do it girl when I was in mother, obviously, because it was my maiden work. And then there was this sort of underground of, I want to be the mother, but I'm not yet the mother. So I was no longer the maiden, but I wasn't yet the mother. And so the mother spirit like gave me something to, you know, reach for, to want to attain and to hold myself to. If I'm saying that's what if I'm in mother and I'm saying it, I better be doing it. Right. So it kind of was to help get me there. Like, say you were really scared. And so in your rebirth, and you were tired of being afraid. So you went through a rebirth ceremony to come out as a brave warrior. Even if you were just taking your first steps, is that you would name yourself a very strong name to match the frequency or the vibration you wanted to be at, right? So that's what I was doing. And then I was like, but who I was like, I got to stop playing about the energy that I really am. It terrifies me, but this is the mother work, is to now come out and, you know, with that, you know, the little like pistons of truth that come out of the bloom. Do you know what I mean? Like, it was like, and this is, and so then like the petals of the mother spirit fell away, and it was like, and this is actually who I am. Like this, you know, serpent daughter of the, you know, of the whore, of the rebel, you know, and so the mother spirit birthed this evolution, you know. But it was people were also like, if I couldn't cuss as much, I couldn't grab the truth by the jugular as much. I felt like I had to be nice in that, because people are still like, I'm looking for mother energy, and I haven't met the dark mother yet. And that's a whole other piece. And so I just wanted free of that. And that's how I got here. Because I was at a full moon ceremony with Marion Woodman's mentee, Syl Reynolds, who now is my mentor. She sat with Marion for 20 years. And so she's like, you know, what do you call it? Like orchestrating this full moon ceremony. And she takes a red necklace and she was like, you're now in the lineage of Marion Woodman. Like, she like ordained me into this lineage last summer. And then so we're putting everything in the fire, and, you know, everything that you want to burn, all the ways you're sick of being, you know, it's just like everything is holding you back. And I saw myself write the mother spirit and just like put it in the fire, and then be like, I don't know what's next. And then we're on the drive home, and this under the full moon, and she says, you have to say you're Sarah of Magdalene as your next evolution. And I knew it was right, because I was both excited and terrified at the same time, you know. So
Yeah, it resonates so much with me in becoming King Polly. I mean,
yeah, tell me about that. How did that happen?
it was a similar sort of like claiming the throne and my crown, kinging myself in a way of, I was always just so small and meek and in
Wow.
being and finding myself, it was like, it came to me right through spirit, this, wow, I have to be King Polly. Like, my name's Abby. So,
Oh, hi, Abby.
but it was this element of naming myself, you know, not living under this name that was given to me by my wounded parents, you know, but by who they wanted me to be, and who I really was. And it is like, once you claim it, you have to rise up to meet it.
Yeah.
It's terrifying.
You throw the gauntlet for yourself, you know, like, here's the new challenge. Yeah.
100.
Such a great feeling.
It really is. It's like, wow,
here we go.
Yeah. Why people rename themselves, or that element of importance of a name, and you get to choose who you are.
Exactly.
Awaken to who you really are.
exactly. Yeah, I finally chose my name. I never understood. I thought it was such a boring name. And then, I've been working with the energy of Sarah Magdalene since, I don't know, 8 years now or something, that I first heard her and there's the memories. And then finally, when I like accepted the name, I was like, what a powerful name, like it's so powerful, but I always hated it until I fit in it, Yeah.
Yeah, and two people maybe don't understand that, like, to be in mother doesn't mean you have actually birthed children.
Right.
And I inherited my two kids. They're older. I'm a stepmom. And that really opened, I mean, the lessons, just the life. Like, I'm so grateful that this is what is my experience. Does open you up in a whole other way. So I've gotten a glimpse of, mother in that way, but also just the archetype.
Yeah.
Which is
and that belongs to everyone, everybody. I'm definitely talking about, all across the gender spectrum or the sex spectrum or whatever it is. I don't even know, because I don't think, I just don't care. I know everyone has feminine and it belongs to everyone, definitely, especially our trans women. They're so included in this. And yeah, the mother lives within. She created all of us and she lives within all of us.
And do you think you would have found this had you not lost your mother?
No, your life and my life were specifically designed so that we would have a missing piece that would be our holy grail, that when we found that within us and offered it to the outside, we would have medicine. So my medicine was to find this missing piece of me and then alchemize that and bring it back up to the world, this missing mother piece. Yeah.
You really, whenever you post something and it'll speak to me, and I'll tell my husband, and he knows you as my mother spirit. That's, I'm like, mother spirit, and it's funny that when you are, in the public sphere, you have no control over how people see you or anything. And just that on some level, right, I never really met you or had spoken to you, yet you spoke to me so often for the last 7 years.
Sounds like it, and I'm so glad.
And really during the beginning of my ascent out of this really depleted, broken down place, where I think so many of us are.
Yeah.
From. And when you think about your like really dark place, like what comes to mind? Like, what was it like for you? What times were just really like, I don't know if I can get out of here.
Oh, wow. When I was pregnant in an abusive relationship with the shaman, that was the moment I first used my sword. People do get confused. They're like, but you are a mother. So are you talking about motherhood? And I'm like, you don't. While like Ava blends into my stories, my work is about how I hold the space as a woman and how I respond to the world and others and as a woman, and how I care for myself, how I mother myself. So I am talking about, how do I come into the season of the frontline feminine, where I'm doing what I came here to do, and I'm being who I came here to be, and I'm giving what I came here to give, right? So that in crone, I can let go in peace, and emptied of myself. I gave myself to the world, right? I bloomed, I pollinated that work, my work, and so really the first time I ever used my sword had to be when I rolled up to I called the domestic violence office and said, I think I'm in trouble. I think I need help. And then I went my first meeting, and then they took me to court to fill out my first affidavit, and I got my first restraining order. And the judge said to me, basically in so many words, you're worthy of protection. And having been an unmothered child, I didn't know that. And so that was the first time no one could catch me but me.
And what just the dichotomy of being in that situation of such like, oh my God. And then you have this beautiful child, like this balance, right? Like this, oh my God.
Exactly.
Like grace always somehow delivers.
Well, what we're talking about is we don't actually know to name something good or bad, and really, because out of the darkest night came my greatest light, right? And sometimes he at first was the man was a beautiful, I was madly in love, and then he became a nightmare, and then the nightmare became a dream again with Ava, so it's like, just stay on the ride, man, because you don't know. It's always going to change. So don't name this place as fixed. Don't say, I know what this is. Just like keep opening to the mystery,
100.
Yeah.
It really, it reminds me like this old parable, right? Of like a man's horse got stolen and everyone was like, oh no, that's so horrible. And
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, exactly.
And it just all.
That's in Michael Brown's presence process, right?
I don't remember where.
He tells a story like that, and it's really a good one to remember that we don't know. Yeah.
And so with your mother to maiden work, you're offering right now.
I want to note that you said mother to maiden, and the joke is always never go back, because we all do it. So you always have to go #never go back.
Oh no, please. Oh, never. No.
I just want to go back to, I'm big into citing my teachers, so the poem, or the one-line poem that The Uses of Sorrow by Mary Oliver really helps remind us, someone I loved once gave me a box of darkness. It took me years to realize this too was a gift, so that like from the dark comes the gifts. And, if you have the tools to open it. And that's what the mother work is about, is having the tools to open the pain of maidenhood and under the patriarchy, and having the tools to turn the pain into wisdom and help free others from the patriarchy, right? So it's like making use of all that pain and turning it into wisdom, and then walking with that mother's wisdom, so that pain wasn't in vain, that time. And that's how I look at it, because now I can look at all of the stuff that happened in my maiden life as mother and be like, I know why that happened. I know how that could have been avoided, and because I've learned. And I won't do it again.
Oh, and it's alchemized. Like it really, and you teaching the work, it's like it gives validation and words to an experience I didn't even know I was going through, or that was going to be part of my life. And then, so when you see others that are also going through it, it really helps. It really helped me.
Right.
Not alone.
Yeah.
And your description of the patriarchy has really helped me, and remembering it's not, down with men.
No. And let's go back to Bell Hooks, who first said it has no gender. It's a construct. It's a mandated way of thinking about life, and about ourselves, and about each other, and about other people, and about the planet. And so if it's a construct, it's a form of consciousness, which means there's multiple other consciousness, but like patriarchy makes it very hard to leave that consciousness, right? And also to leave that, it's a system too. It's an oppressive, capitalistic, white supremacist, ableist, misogynistic system, matricidal system. So like once we see the system for what it is, especially, the gift of age is being exiled a bit from the system at, the narcissistic supply, we don't have as much to supply them with. And so as we get exiled, when we start to go, oh, I can see, you can't see your life when you're like in it, but when you take a break from it, you go on a vacation, you go on a retreat or something, and then you can see outside of it and you go, here's what I need to fix. That's like what's happening with women getting exiled and getting older. We're going, I see it for what it is. Here's how we have to kill it. And here's what we got to put in this place. Not even change it. We're done. We're not negotiating with the terrorists anymore. Just here we have to kill it. And then we have to, bring up a new matricidal system in its place. Not matricidal. Hashtag is matricidal to matriarchal, like from matricidal, which is killing us, the mother, all life, our children, the planet, each other, to matrifocal or matriarchal, which is mother-centered consciousness, mother-centered culture and system, like the indigenous peoples,
You really, your words, your ability to communicate everything, it truly is a gift to the world.
Oh,
Like it really, really is.
Thank you.
I know too, for me, like when you talk about the aging, and that is this huge element that in the mainstream we don't see, we're
anti
through. It's like everything is anti-wrinkle, anti-this, God forbid you get older.
Anti-life, anti-death.
And that's one of the things I love about you, is embracing that. And that's something that I really want my life to be also, is I grew up, with a mother that was constantly trying to just make everything appear different than what it was.
Right.
And a long line of that. And it's been like excruciating, but freeing to just open that up in me and see the parts of myself that before I would choose not to look at, and just like, okay, like this is life. This is what's happening.
Yeah.
I'm going to just fall into it.
Yeah.
And embrace it, because there's truly, to me, nothing more magnificent than a woman who owns who she is.
Mm-hmm.
And I do feel like we're shifting that way.
Mm-hmm.
And because the old way, people are tired of it. They're bored. Like, it's not interesting. It's death. It's not sustainable.
Mm-hmm. McKenna has some great, around 40, you start to just get really, like you said, bored and sick of the culture. And he said, are you a McKenna person?
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, I love him so much. Let me see. I don't want to take up too much of your time. Okay, here it is.
Take up all of the time.
Wait, he said so many great things about the culture, but where's the one about? Okay, if you're intelligent and you live past 40, you will outgrow your culture. Some people may do it sooner, but you have to be a complete idiot to just buy in at 55, at 60, at 75, at 80. What are you still going to be doing? Expressing homophobic views, voting Republican, and worrying about the ABCs of this phony reality? Most people get to a place where they just see it's a bunch of crap. The scandals are recycled. The philosophical issues are recycled. The technical innovations are recycled. And once you've been through about 3 cycles of this, you realize that this is a media-created state of cultural involvement and reciprocal narcissism, only to be assuaged by the expenditure of money, and that you can just walk away from it. It's all unnecessary. And of course, this is a white man being able to walk out of a system that isn't leaning on his back, that he's sitting on the top of. Right. So the problem for most of the women I love and serve is that they can't just get up and leave the patriarchy, that they have patriarchal jobs that feed their children with their patriarchal mortgage. And, it's a cult, it's a prison. It feels like a prison. And that's what being in Wounded Maiden feels like too, is being in the cage of yourself. Right. Oh. And the patriarchy, it wants us to be this sick, stagnant zombie. Yeah. In part of this, as part of cogs in the wheel or the system. But as much as he is very much ignoring his privilege in that he's also like, it's boring. It's utterly boring.
Totally.
I'll pick up a People magazine, and when I'm at in the grocery store line, I don't even read it. I know what's going on with Kanye and Kim because of the domestic violence narrative story that's playing out. but celebrities do nothing for me. They were only created in like, I think it was like 1880s or something. Like they're a total patriarchal creation of othering and hierarchying people who are just there's people who want to be celebrities, and there's people like me who are just really crazy passionate about what they do, and they don't want the othering, and so I that's something I really like. I'm not part of this like celebrity influencer just because I have an Instagram presence, and I have to make that distinction a lot. That's why I don't like post pictures of myself anymore or anything, because it's about what I have to say.
It is an intention, right? Like your intention.
Mm-hmm.
That shifted a lot for me too in life, and just from my beginning of life, and why I thought I wanted or needed fame and attention, versus to now it's like, oh, I can't help but get some attention with what I want to share and who I want to be.
Yeah.
So now I'm going to have to
deal with that.
And
yeah.
What am I putting out? Like, what am I sharing? Because the last thing I want is people comparing themselves to me and feeling less than.
Right.
And for a while, I mean, in Maiden, that's, kind of what I did. I wanted to be the most beautiful in the room, and everybody to know, and hide the insecurity that was.
Sure.
So it's
what else were you going to do? There weren't any models for anything else.
No, there really weren't.
Mm-mm.
And
it's about being pretty and cool.
And I love your tattoo.
Oh, thank you.
We're moon sisters.
Oh, I love that.
And I love something you said too about when you got it, and many people felt like it was just always there on you. Like,
yeah.
Such a natural, but yet that's a badass thing to do, to tattoo your face. That's like, again, like renaming yourself. Like, no,
it was right when I changed my name to Sarah Magdalene, and when it was right before and after I did this, I went into one of the darkest places in my life with COVID last year and my midlife crisis, and I sat with I don't know if I can say her name because she's so sacred right now, but I sat with a deity that just centered me and brought me back to what matters in my path, and initiated me more deeply than I've ever been initiated into what matters. And so it's changed everything for me. And when I was getting this, I remembered getting it in Avalon, I did it in this beautiful tattoo parlor and in Portland, Maine. And this wonderful woman, Gemma, who's a ritual tattoo artist, she left the body art world because of like the misogyny and the culture of it. And now she does this like gentle ritual. She did my runes here and my runes on my fingers. And the guy that had done this was like a ex-prison guy in the Berkshires, and it hurt so bad I was crying, and she was so tender, and she did Reiki on me, and I was lying under all these black Madonnas, and it was just amazing. So it changed my life, though things got very, very dark. So that was another time that I was terrified and didn't know what was going to happen, and definitely had to take off lives and offer them to the dark mother or the apocalyptic mother to say, I'll give you anything, just let me keep my baby. And I did give a lot to her. I gave a lot of my old ways to her, and while it was excruciating at the time because parts of you were dying, it was the best thing that ever happened to me. And here we go again. Like at the time I was like, this is like the worst, heaviest, craziest shit. And then now I'm like, thank God I went through that, because I'm so much purer. Like it purified me, and who you get in front of the curtains, who you get behind. I don't have any of that persona split. There's no like, I'm going to put this mask on to do this stuff anymore. Like it's all gone.
It's truly, and that's really a hard thing. That's a hard, because there's like a break in.
And there's a literal break between you and a screen. It's easy to wait to get the best filter, best take, and what's going to sell the best, and or you just fucking show up.
That's my mentality 100. And whenever I interview people, right, and they'll be nervous, and I'm like, I promise that if you just show up,
just be yourself,
it always works.
Yeah. The problem is just be yourself in a culture when we've been told to be anything else our whole lives. So that's much easier said than done. And, you know, here I am at 43 being like, I think I know who I am, but like, you know, who knows? Yeah.
Something else you say, the greater or the bigger the death, the bigger the birth. And that is because there's been certain times in my life,
yes,
where I've wanted so desperately to die, to not be here, to disappear, right? To just please. And then when I get through those spaces, I realize, oh my God, I did die.
Yeah,
I did.
I was right. I don't gaslight myself. I actually was. It felt like it, and I was.
And that element of divinity, remembering our divinity, you've really helped me in terms of the goddess and growing up, right? Always just hearing about God, and he. One of the I wanted to kill myself. I'm like, you know what? Like, but
oh, that's powerful.
This element of the goddess, and I really make it a conscious thing for me whenever thinking about God, sitting with God, goddess, remembering the she and the her, and that it really is a they.
Yeah.
And when did you first kind of start to feel that way?
It wasn't subtle at all. Nothing in my life ever has been. It was, I tried to kill myself after my fiance left me a year later. I tried, and with pills, and it was the end of my Saturn return. Of course, I had no indoctrination to understand any of that, because, you know, that in my patriarchal, you know, childhood growing up, there was no speak of the goddess ever. There was no speak of even spirituality. I mean, it's amazing there was no talk of like a soul-led life, you know. We were all just part of the culture and playing out our roles. And being who everybody else wanted us to be, and our parents were being who the culture told them to be, and they were doing the bidding of the patriarchy of keeping us, you know, like heteronormative and homogenous, and you know, the girls had to be girls and the boys had to be boys. And like you say, I'm very much a she, but like I have a ton of masculine energy. So I had to like pretend I was this like girly girl, but then I'd be like the captain of these sports team and be like, let's crush them. Like I always like buried masculine to be like, come on out. And like when it like I was a center in every team, and I was just like a warrior, you know. But I've always been a team person, a captain, you know. I've always loved rallying women together, you know. Anyway, so Tim left, and at the end of my Saturn return, I drank too much, took too many pills, and hoped that was it. When I woke up in the next morning and I was still there, I got on my knees and I asked for the presence of anyone, if anyone was actually there, if I was really all alone in life. And I was on my knees and I was like, if there's anyone here, please, I can't take another step on this path. I can't do this alone anymore. I mean, my mother was gone, Tim was gone, all my friends were gone. I had no job. I was an addict. I had no money. My family didn't speak to me. And my heart shattered open because I felt this energy move up through my chakras. My heart shattered open. My crown chakra shattered open. This like pink energy filled the air. I could see all the energy from my hands, and like I looked different. I felt different. I was guided out to this garden, and I met the Great Mother, this like big like hologram of Shakti. And I was told, she said to me, I saved your life. The caveat here is you now work for me. this is your second chance. And that's what and that day I started writing for her. And she just, I mean, it was like, I was living in this pottery shed and I had all these Post-it notes, and she was just talking to me, and I was filling them, and they filled up the whole shed. I mean, it looked like I was a crazy, I mean, I was going through what's called the Kundalini Awakening. So, but it was overnight, and it was the kind that should be cared for and tended to, but it was all by myself inside of the culture with this happening. So that's how I met the goddess, not some gradual thing. Yeah.
Thank you for your vulnerability. I
Mm.
really admire that.
Sure. It's all I know.
And I'm so excited for your book.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, that's coming out in June. It was supposed to come out in April, but it's coming out in June because of a paper shortage. Yeah. I know. Now I'm like, I don't want to cut down the trees for this. So, but that's happening.
It's worthy. And Maiden to Mother. Okay, I wrote Maiden to Mother, unlocking our archetypal journey into the mature feminine.
Mm-hmm.
I can't wait. Have you written your whole life? I know in your past life, right? Like you wrote for Rolling Stone.
Yeah.
So when you were little, would you write?
Oh, it's just such a good question, because before I met the mother, I wrote, but it was hard. It was like getting blood from a stone, and I'd get one good line and I was never inspired. And the reason I was with Tim, my fiance, from a lot of reasons, but one is he was this incredibly creative artist. He was a lead singer. And I just wanted to warm myself by his fire. I mean, that's why I worked at Rolling Stone. I had no inner fire, so I like to warm myself around artists. And then what happened to me when I met Goddess was, I am nagged constantly now by the muse. And I mean, you're not nagging me, but I'm just, you're like always with me. And before that, I remembered, I have to like pull cars over. I wake up in the middle of the night, to write, because it's streaming through. It's sort of like that I Love Lucy with the truffles, with like, I can't really keep up with it.
Right.
But I remember there was one night in college when a line was tapping at me at 3 a.m. And this is back when my mother had just died. I drank very heavily every night. I was sleeping with strangers, that sort of thing. And I was not an artist, and I remember the line tapping, and I sat up and I wrote it down, and I told everyone, you guys, I had one of those things where something else gave me a line, and everyone's like, oh, I want that, and to have a life now where it's just endless is pretty amazing.
I relate to everything you just said so much.
Really?
I was always writing. I kept diaries since I was
diaries. I have so many diaries. No, not anymore, but I did. Yeah.
Right. Me too.
Mm-hmm.
It was, I always, like, it was part of me. I knew I wanted to write, right? Like it was there, but it was so hard because I was in my mind.
Yes. Oh,
nothing.
And nobody wants to read it either. All your head. Oh, get out of here with that. Yeah. I mean, I wanted to sound like a textbook or something, and they wanted me to sound like that.
Exactly. That's how we're taught. And
yeah.
It's not really that way.
No, the only education I've ever gotten is from the goddess. Like all patriarchal schooling was for nothing. Just unlearning it.
I've spent years now unlearning the amount, and I see now with having kids, right? Just that element of, wow, school really is pushed as well. As long as you're doing good at school, everything else is fine, school. And it's like, no, I'd rather you do horrible in school. But if you're emotionally connected and playing and with spirit and outdoors, that stuff. And I do think we're shifting to that. And I hope we are to that mode of teaching our children. doggy, where it is community. And that's something I've seen you really too, speak on, is just the importance of community. And it takes a village, and especially
Yeah.
children and mothers, like we've lost all of that, and everybody's just out to sea wondering why are none of us working right? What's going on? Why are we
Right. We're all broke. Well, the system's broken. We're not. And so, isolating mothers is like isolating trees. I mean, they'll eventually find their way back to the forest to forest with each other, because trees just naturally build a forest around them when the acorns drop and scatter, and then the trees bloom. It's like we do gather each other. We're having the conversations. We need this. I remember this. This is what we're doing is unnatural. There's a more natural way, and people are buying land, and everyone's talking about it. So it is happening. It's just not happening as fast as we need it to happen. But the conversation is building the villages. I mean, my goal within 2 years is to have my own. Yeah.
Yeah.
For single mothers, because those are my people, and they fall through the cracks, and they have to do it all, and it kills them literally. And so I want to help them, because no one helped me, and I needed it so bad. So yeah. And our children deserve each other. They don't need screens, they need each other.
And that element too of, we've just segregated all the children, this element of all of the ages together, that we are here to help each other. And
yes,
it takes away so much of that weird sort of like high school mentality. And if you have children there, you automatically want to mother and show up these kids, and it's reciprocal.
Yeah.
We've just been put in all these boxes of disconnection.
Yep. And othered each other. Yeah.
Where can people find you?
At the Mother Spirit is still my website. Because that's our company name now. And Sarah of Magdalene on Instagram. And there's a Maiden to Mother journey coming up, but I think this will probably you'll probably air this after it opens.
This will air the day after you begin.
Oh, that's okay. The gate, it'll be open. It'll be open for a couple weeks after we open. Yeah. So that's the best way to lean into this work. It really is take the Maiden to Mother journey. This is like the 6th year I've done it, and it's a well-oiled, I don't want to say machine, but it's like a well-oiled portal for you. Like it's time tested. That hundreds of women have walked before you. There's a huge community online that's private, and you have live teachings with me and live councils with me and other Maiden to Mother teachers, and you also have somatic embodiment on this. So I mean, I'm so proud of this course, and I stand behind this work with it's my whole life. So it works for me, and it's worked for hundreds of women, and I'm honored to steward it.
I know I will in the future. I know I will. I have to.
Well, reach out, because we always give scholarships. So reach out always. Yeah. We'd love to have you.
Oh, Sarah.
Yeah. How old are you?
35.
Oh, you're a little baby? Okay. Well, maybe in a couple years do it.
Yeah, 35. But there's this element in me, I don't know if it's hyperdrive, and I mean, I have an 18-year-old going in the Navy, so it's kind of like,
wow,
I'm this strange, I don't even know. And the high level of trauma early on in my life, I feel like catapulted me. I had to find something.
Sure.
Or cease to exist.
Exactly. Well, if it feels right, I'd love to have you this year, because we only do them about every year and a half or something.
And I want to ask you too, you have to leave. Do you have to leave right now?
Being a what? Well, I have to leave in like 5 minutes. Being what?
An East Coast human.
Yeah.
And then you spent some time in the desert.
Yeah, and I'm going back out, right?
Desert person. And I just was wondering.
Are you a desert person? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, my whole
Yeah.
life, whole life.
What kind, where?
Vegas.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I was wondering what you kind of took away from that, like your
Oh,
awareness is just about.
she's a tough ass mother. Okay. That desert. Okay. First of all, it's mystical as hell. I love that, I love desert towns and stuff because like weirdos are the norm and normies are the weirdos. And so I fit right in, and spirituality is just open and there. And it's like the Wild West, but it's also like I feel like when I'm in that like red moon rock with those desert creatures and those scorpions and those tarantulas and those cacti and like the cow skulls, it's like death ceremony on the reg out there. So but it's a great mother energy. But I am definitely a New Englander. Like I love, if I don't ever move to like Scotland or something, but I like greens and I like the green bluff and the crashing waves underneath. And, I love that Scottish Celtic terrain.
I feel like at some level I will eventually make it back to like the forest. I was born in Denver, but then immediately came to Vegas. So there's this element that I feel like, all right, I was born a mile high and then I was placed literally in desert.
Yeah.
And once I've alchemized something, maybe I'll be out of here. But
it took me till 42 to say, okay, I'm not a desert. Everyone called me a desert witch when I was your age. They were like, you're going to own a ranch outside of Santa Fe. And I was like, yeah, I am, and then I had a reading with Heidi Rose Robbins. I just love her astrology on Instagram. And she said, you have been so unmothered and life has been so hard. You need this, like, it depends on what kind of mother you need at the time. And I needed the green mother, the soft mother, the nurturing of New England, and the seasonal holding. And so she was right. My body said yes when she said that, because I was headed to the house when I got the reading. Someone should really train that dog. I don't.
Oh. Meant to be tamed.
It's not going to be me. Okay, I should go. It was so great to connect with you.
I love you. I
love you too.
I appreciate you, and truly, like, I can't wait to see where we are in the next 7 years.
Yeah, well, let's do this again in a year and see where we are. But reach out about if you want to come along with us. And otherwise, we'll just stay in touch.
I would love it.
Yeah, I would love it. Okay. And it's, can I call, your real name is? Abby. I knew it started with an A. Okay. So Abby. Yeah. Thanks, Abby. So much love.
Thank you so much.
It was an honor.
So grateful for Sarah Durham Wilson. You can follow her at Sarah of Magdalene. I'm so grateful for you tuning in. Thank you for being here. And I'm sending you a lot of love and a lot of that mother love that we all need.